There comes a moment in every life when you realize that time is not infinite, that the people you love will not always be here, that the words you don't say today may never find their voice. And in that quiet, unsettling awareness, a question emerges. What would you say if you knew you were running out of time? What truths would you pass on? What love would you finally speak aloud? This is the question at the heart of Gilead, a novel by Marilynne Robinson. It's a book written as a letter from a dying father to his young son, a letter that knows it will outlive the man who writes it. And in that simple, heartbreaking premise, Robinson gives us something rare, a meditation on grace, forgiveness, and the quiet beauty of an ordinary life. The story follows John Ames, an elderly minister in a small Iowa town in the 1950s. He's 76 years old, his heart is failing, and his son is only 7. He knows he won't live to see the boy grow up. He won't be there for the first day of school, for the scraped knees and broken hearts, for the graduations and weddings and all the moments that make up a life. So he writes. He writes because it's the only way he can reach across time, the only way he can be present in his son's future when his body no longer can be. He writes about his life, his faith, his regrets, his joys. He writes about his grandfather, a fiery abolitionist preacher who carried a gun and believed that some evils must be fought with force. He writes about his father, a pacifist who couldn't reconcile violence with love, who believed that turning the other cheek was the only path to redemption. And he writes about himself, a man caught between these two legacies, trying to understand what it means to be good in a world that often feels broken. But this isn't a story about big dramatic events. There are no wars fought on the page, no grand revelations, no plot twists that change everything. Instead, it's about the small sacredness of daily life. The way light falls through a window on a summer morning, the smell of biscuits baking in a warm kitchen, the sound of a child laughing in the yard, the feeling of holding someone's hand during prayer. Ames writes as though he's trying to preserve these moments to make them holy, because he knows that memory is all his son will have of him. And he wants those memories to be filled with beauty, with meaning, with the sense that life, even an ordinary life, is worth cherishing. And here's what makes this book so profound. It teaches us that love is not always loud. Sometimes the deepest love is quiet. It's the father who stays up late writing letters his son can't yet read. It's the act of bearing witness to someone's existence, of saying, "You mattered to me. Your life had meaning. I saw you, and you were beautiful." We live in a culture that celebrates grand gestures, the big declarations, the dramatic moments, the sweeping acts of heroism. But Gilead reminds us that most love happens in the margins. It happens in the moments we might overlook if we're not paying attention. It's in the daily choice to show up, to be patient, to forgive the small irritations and disappointments that accumulate over time. It's in the decision to stay, to keep loving even when it's hard, even when the initial excitement has faded and what remains is simply commitment. Ames embodies this kind of love. His life has been marked by loss. His first wife and daughter died during childbirth when he was young, and for decades he lived alone with that grief. He poured himself into his work, into his congregation, into the quiet rhythms of pastoral care. And then, late in life, he met Leela, a much younger woman with a difficult past, and they married. Their son was born when Ames was nearly 70. And now, facing his own death, Ames is overwhelmed with gratitude for these unexpected gifts, these years of happiness he never thought he'd have. One of the central tensions in the story revolves around a man named Jack Boughton. Jack is the son of Ames's best friend, and he's someone Ames has never fully trusted. Jack has a troubled past. He's hurt people. He abandoned a young woman and the child they had together. He's made choices that seem unforgivable, choices that violated every value Ames holds dear. And when Jack returns to town after years away, Ames feels a flare of old resentment, old fear. Especially because Jack begins spending time with Ames's wife and son, sitting in their kitchen, playing with the boy, becoming part of their daily life. What unfolds is not a confrontation, but something quieter and more painful. Ames must wrestle with his own inability to forgive. He must face the uncomfortable truth that he, a man who has preached grace his entire life, struggles to extend it to someone who truly needs it. And in this struggle, Robinson shows us something essential about being human, that forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision. It's a practice. And it's almost always harder than we think it will be. Ames looks at Jack and sees a man who might not deserve grace. He sees the pain Jack has caused, the lives he's damaged, the trust he's broken. And part of Ames wants to protect his family from this man, to keep him at a distance, to say, "You've forfeited your right to be part of our lives." But then he remembers his own grandfather, who fought for the enslaved not because they deserved freedom, but because freedom is a birthright. He remembers his father, who refused to hate even those who caused suffering, who believed that every person carries the image of God within them, no matter what they've done. And slowly, painfully, Ames begins to understand that grace is not something we earn. It's something we receive and something we give, even when it costs us, especially when it costs us. This is where the book cuts deepest, because we all know what it's like to hold on to anger, to nurse a grudge, to replay in our minds all the ways someone has wronged us, to build a case for why we're justified in our bitterness. And we also know, somewhere deep down, that holding on is exhausting. That unforgiveness is a weight we carry until it shapes us, until it becomes part of who we are, until we can't remember what it felt like to be light and free. Ames's journey is a reminder that letting go is not weakness. It's not pretending that the hurt didn't happen. It's choosing to release the hold that hurt has on us. It's liberation. There's a scene where Ames performs a baptism, and he describes the act with such tenderness, such reverence that you feel the water on the child's head, the solemnity of the moment, the weight of blessing another human being. He talks about how baptism is a way of saying to another person, "You are beloved, you are seen, you belong to something larger than yourself. You are claimed by grace before you've done anything to earn it or lose it." And in a way, the entire book is a kind of baptism. It's Ames blessing his son, blessing his life, blessing even the people he struggled with, like Jack. It's him saying, "This world is hard and beautiful, and you are part of it, and that matters more than you know." What makes Gilead resonate so powerfully with modern readers is that it speaks to a hunger we all feel, even if we don't have the words for it. In a world that moves so fast, that demands so much, that fills every silence with noise and every moment with productivity, this book offers something radical: slowness, stillness, attention. It suggests that the holiest thing we can do is pay attention to our lives, to the people in them, to the fleeting, fragile beauty of just being here. We live in an age of distraction. We scroll endlessly through our phones, consuming information we'll forget minutes later. We rush from one task to the next, always preparing for the next thing, optimizing, improving, moving forward. We measure our worth by our achievements, our productivity, our ability to keep up. And in all that movement, we forget to simply be present. We forget that life is not something that happens later, when we've achieved enough or fixed enough or become enough. Life is happening now, right now, in this breath, this conversation, this ordinary moment that will never come again. Ames understands this. He writes, "I wish I could leave you certain of the images in my mind, because they are so beautiful that I hate to think they will be extinguished when I am." He's not talking about grand landscapes or epic moments. He's talking about the ordinary magic of existence. A sunset over the Iowa plains, a conversation with a friend on a front porch, a moment of quiet in an empty church. And he knows that these things matter not because they're extraordinary, but because they're ours. They're the substance of a life. They're what we'll remember when everything else fades away. The book also touches on something we don't talk about enough: the loneliness of faith. Ames is a man who has devoted his entire life to God, to the church, to the idea that there is meaning and purpose woven into the fabric of the universe. But he's also human. He doubts. He struggles. He wonders if his faith is enough, if his life has been enough, if the words he's spoken from the pulpit for 50 years have made any difference at all. And in those moments of vulnerability, he becomes deeply relatable. Because faith, real faith, is not the absence of doubt. It's the choice to keep believing even when doubt is present. It's the decision to hope, to trust, to love, even when the evidence is unclear. This is something many of us wrestle with, whether we're religious or not. We all want to believe that our lives have meaning, that our choices matter, that love is real and lasting. But the world often feels indifferent. People disappoint us. Time passes too quickly. Dreams crumble. And we're left wondering, does any of this matter? Will anyone remember? Will anything I've done outlive me? Ames's answer is quiet but firm. Yes, it matters because we choose to make it matter, because we show up, because we love, because we bear witness to each other's existence and say, "You were here, I saw you, you mattered." There's also something deeply moving about the way Ames views his wife, Leela. He knows their marriage is unlikely. She's decades younger, from a completely different background, with a past marked by poverty and hardship. She doesn't share his education, his social standing, his easy way with words. And yet he sees her with such clarity, such love, that it transforms her in his eyes. He sees not just who she is, but who she might become. He sees her dignity, her strength, her capacity for tenderness. And in his seeing, she begins to see herself differently too. This is one of the great gifts we can give each other, to see someone truly, to look past the surface and recognize their inherent worth. To say, through our attention and our love, "You are more than your mistakes. You are more than your past. You are becoming something beautiful, and I'm honored to witness it." Ames gives this gift to Leela, and in his final months she gives it back to him, caring for him as his body fails, holding space for his fears and his hopes. As the narration draws to a close, Ames reflects on the nature of existence itself. He thinks about how strange and miraculous it is to be alive, to be conscious, to be capable of wonder, to taste bread and feel sunlight and hear music and experience joy, to suffer and yet keep going, to love and be loved in return. And he writes to his son with a kind of desperate hope, knowing that these words are all he can leave behind. He wants his son to know that he was loved, that his life was a gift, that even in the midst of suffering and loss, there is grace, there is beauty, there is meaning. And here's the final beautiful lesson of Gilead, that we are all writing letters to the future, whether we realize it or not. Every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every choice to forgive, to love, to pay attention, these are the words we leave behind. These are the ways we bless the people who come after us. We may not live to see the impact, but that doesn't make it any less real. A kind word spoken today might echo in someone's heart for decades. A small act of generosity might change the trajectory of a life. A decision to forgive might break a cycle of pain that's persisted for generations. So what would you say if you were writing your own letter? What truths would you want to pass on? What love would you speak into existence? What wisdom have you gained that might light someone else's path? Because the truth is, none of us know how much time we have. None of us can guarantee tomorrow, but we have today. We have this moment. And in this moment, we have the choice to live with intention, to love without reservation, to offer grace even when it's hard. Gilead reminds us that a meaningful life is not built on grand gestures. It's built on small, faithful acts repeated over time. It's built on showing up, on being present, on choosing love even when it costs us, on paying attention to the people around us and saying, through our words and actions, "You matter. Your existence is a gift. I'm grateful to share this brief, beautiful, heartbreaking journey with you." And maybe that's the most profound message of all, that an ordinary life lived with attention and grace is anything but ordinary. It's sacred. It's enough. It's more than enough. Because in the end, what we leave behind is not our accomplishments or our possessions. It's the love we gave, the kindness we showed, the way we made people feel seen and valued and beloved. John Ames, dying in a small Iowa town, understands this. And through his words to a son who will barely remember him, he teaches us all something essential, that life is precious precisely because it's temporary. That love matters precisely because it's vulnerable. That grace is powerful precisely because it's unearned. And that the greatest gift we can give each other is simply this: our full, undivided, wholehearted attention. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing to Classic Books Explained for more timeless ideas.